Cats, cops, and C4. "This is your plan for me," Moriarty asks as he looks out the window into the artificial light and recycled air. Level 8. This low on Centris and the air was effectively sewage. The strained smell of the air had the slight ozone smell of purification processes, something normally found on a starship. But the bottom 10 levels, where the spires met and high noon was the only hour of the day sunlight could even be seen. The sewage of each level may be processed on that level, but damn if it doesn't feel like the reek of a sewage plant was sinking into his fur. You want to be the Napoleon of crime, don't you, Moriarty? Well, here it is. Crime, desperation, addiction, madness, despair, poverty, and all the other ingredients for any and all sorts of illegal affairs. I was thinking more along the lines of manipulation of banks or the funds of a criminal organization, Moriarty states in a somewhat strained tone. There's plenty of that, don't you worry. Still, welcome to the bottom of Ven's Spire, your new stomping ground. I did not agree to be a sewer worker, Moriarty states. No, you didn't. You chose to be a criminal, which is why you're not working in an honest job like waste processing. I did not agree to be in this pit. He snarls before regretting it, as he's not sure if the taste in his mouth is real or psychosomatic, but either way it's disgusting. You agreed to follow orders. Your orders bring you here. You can spend your years with us in the brig if you like. Why here? What's so important about this place that a military force is forcing a criminal to set up in it? Moriarty demands in fury. 84% of all murders occur in the bottom 10 levels of a spire. We've chosen Ven's Spire to see if it can be stomped down on, to see if the madness, apathy, cruelty, and sheer filth of Centris can be cleaned away. Level 8 is where we fight fire with fire. Are you trying to tell me that all this is to see if the world can be made into a better place? Moriarty asks incredulously. What else would you do, hun? You've lived your whole life on Centris and never descended into the bottom 10. There are entire underground colonies that are paradises compared to this place, so why can't this pit be better? Are you that naive? The bottom 10 don't exist in a vacuum or on a planet all their own. These are the slums and dregs of all Centris. Spires are 200 levels tall, and the fact that the worst of everything ends up in the bottom 10 rather than infesting every street corner. But they do. The world is rife with petty conspiracy and apathy. You yourself have taken advantage of the numerous gangs and their murderous intent on the upper levels of the spire. If this really was just a case of the filth flowing to the bottom, then the vast majority of all crime would be here. But it's not. You know it's not, and have taken advantage of that fact. Every level of every spire has a criminal center point, and that would not exist if all the crime was oozing downwards. You lived in yours for decades. So why the actual fuck do the bottom 10 levels have to be a hellhole? This has been in place longer than humans have had the concept of democracy. The wonders of your world are younger than this problem. Do you honestly think you can change something like that? Yes, his handler says, and Moriarty struggles not to give him the satisfaction of turning to snarl at the smug shit. Oh really? These spires have stood like this for so long that your kind would be sending out archaeologists if they weren't inhabited and the logistics weren't a screaming nightmare, Moriarty notes as he continues to glare out the window. The unnatural lights pouring down from the ceiling above causes the colors and shapes of all the buildings and the still enormous crowds of people wandering around. You make it sound like age only makes things stronger. In my experience, it can make things brittle too, his handler says, and Moriarty finally turns to actually glare at him. He knows the man's name is supposed to be Herbert Jameson, but he can't trust that anymore. He's seen too much too quickly, and he's not entirely sure he's speaking to the same person. Not when he had seen 3 of them speaking to one another, all identical, all with the same axiom presence and far, far more. He was certain all of them were human, but he wasn't certain who, if any of them, were the original. Part of him was considering that perhaps he has never encountered the original. The rest were just actors following his instruction, all of them perfectly able to back up enough of the threat that testing them would just get him injured. Bastard was playing massive mind games already. They'd just begun, but Moriarty was already counting the days until his 5-year contract expired. He had no illusions at the consequences of breaking that contract. This pit would be a paradise compared to whatever place they threw him into, if they bothered keeping him alive. What is it exactly that you want me to do down here? Employ your talents. Getting good with the criminal organizations that have made these lightless levels their personal fiefdoms. Gather information and formulate a plan to not only remove them, but to fill the power vacuum. The tragedy of places like this is that oftentimes the most legitimate authority is the least legal and moral. We're going to change that. I see. Is there a time frame? Moriarty asks. The local is dismal, but the challenge, an entire level with little police presence, is still a massive area with hundreds of millions of people. Even with only 1 in 100 of them being criminals, that's still a large number of people to test his mettle against simultaneously. No, it's a large and varied task. However, we want reports every 24 hours. Failure to report in will lead to the assumption that you're either trying to break your contract or have been captured. Agents will be dispatched if this happens to effect either your capture or rescue as appropriate. That's not the end of it. It's too much of what I want to do to actually be what you caught me for. Not to mention it's something that you would likely be capable of yourself. You have 2 more main missions. I knew it. The first is to scan missing person reports. Do a facial recognition scan and inform us where you find people that have been dragged into this lifestyle against their will. We will then effect a rescue. And the other? Recruitment. Keep your eyes out for those that clearly have moral quandaries with what they're doing down here. Those people you will give a burner communicator to. If they choose to sign up with the Undaunted and be lifted out of this place, then great. If not, no great loss, and perhaps the communicator will be tool enough for them to help themselves. Well, aren't we sweet and forgiving? Moriarty taunts. It's what kept us from just wrapping you in duct tape and handing you to the police with a bow on it. Oh? Letting you get captured had 3 options. 1, you get off. You then go laughing all the way back to every resource you had and grow even bolder. 2, you go to jail. While in there, you make contacts and friends while hardening as a criminal. Oh sure, some people reform from prison, but you're not the type. And the final option? Another corpse for the crematoriums, and as tempting as it is to see you dead for your fucking with us and others, cooler heads prevailed and you're being given a chance to redeem yourself. Who knows? Maybe at the end of your 5-year stint with us, you won't be walking directly into a police force just ready and waiting to arrest you. You bastard. Oh, don't be so shocked. After the stunts you pulled, we wanted our pound of flesh, and when you escaped the police, you leapt into our hands. I've played coy until now, but I wanted to make sure you were good and tied down before you even thought about just how much a mistake it was to cross us. Jail time would have been easier. This is absurd. You're right. By all rights, you should be awaiting sentencing from a pissed-off battle axe of a judge. Instead, you get 5 years to prove to Centris, its police force and the Undaunted, that you don't deserve to be thrown out an airlock. Moriarty just stares at him for a moment before turning away. What's the term? Deal with the devil? Don't be absurd. You're perfectly aware of the consequences, and we're not asking anything unreasonable. This is more of a bargain with heaven. Less selling your soul to Satan for power and more Samson not cutting his hair in return for super strength. The deal is clear and far from onerous. And what do you call being placed in this pit? The duty, his handler says, stepping out beside him. You'll get used to the smell in no time. Besides, if you dislike it so much, change it. Pardon? Honestly, how does no one get it? If something can't be changed, take advantage of it. If you're outnumbered, swing harder and wider to catch more with every attack. If you're exhausted, ignore it and move on. If you can't, then figure out a way. Is this supposed to be a pep talk? More a philosophy. People might mistake us as a bunch of meatheads with hero complexes. Might think that things are black and white, but we're much smarter than that. We just have the will to press through. So consider it part of your wages. You get a taste of something more. Oh, please. For someone so desperate for purpose that they've abandoned who they were, you're oddly reluctant when it's handed to you on a platter. The hell are you even talking about? You want purpose and challenge, well here it is. Ven Spire Level 8, yours to revive and remake, yours to heal and help. You want to be more than Argus ever could be. You want to be greater than the Shroud. Here it is. If there is something you despise, change it. The lights are the wrong color. Switch them out. The air stinks. Change the filters. The buildings are ugly. Renovate, rebuild, restore. Your mission is to take, subsume, and cripple the criminal gangs without leaving a power vacuum, but you can do so much more, if only you're willing to dare. Moriarty considers as he looks over the city. Hundreds of millions of people shuffle about. Hundreds of millions with many, many hundreds of different allegiances and desires and gangs. Taking control will have to start at the top, if only because the bottom is so widely spread out. But if he works his way down, can this place be remade? They were so close to the bottom of the spire that more than half the area was taken by the massive support pillars that marginally thin as they move upwards. Ven being a spire that used the multiple pillars model over the singular one. So, in summation, my tacit orders are prepare a coup to quell the chaos, tag kidnapping victims for rescue, and offer the desperate a way out? He asks, and his handler nods. And the unspoken orders are to perform some mix of gentrification, urban renewal, and slum restoration. You want to rule over a strong and profitable part of Aspire? Here's how we'll help you do it. Turn hell into heaven. Not only will you get exactly what you want, but you'll get it in a way where the police you dodged in the past, the criminals around you, the people, and we the undaunted will all approve of. Legitimate authority? How am I supposed to get that when my name and face are known? I've been committed, I have to be a criminal now. No, you don't. Especially as Moriarty is your code name among the undaunted, and not your legal name Richard Teat. The handler says, holding a wallet towards Moriarty, who takes it. The identity looks legal and has him as an undaunted citizen, Richard Teat. It has him at 137. Oh? So you're willing to put your hand behind my criminal actions? Oh no, you're going under the moniker the Horned One for your criminal activities. I'm a Carib, I have antlers, not horns. Which is the point. They hear that title and they'll chase down an Apuk or something and not even think of a Carib. Any idiot knows the difference, which is why we use it. A diversion baked into knowledge and not ignorance. Fine. Fine. Let's see if your mad plan works. It's not like I have any choice. You always have a choice, just not a good one, his handler says. Remember, you report to us every 24 hours or we come looking, and if you're not in chains when we find you, then you will be. Then the short human is gone, having left behind only a briefcase that Moriarty takes and carries through the apartment. He puts it down on the small bed and opens it. More items of identification, a very robust-looking communicator, as well as an entire stash of burners and a fair amount of credits, all of which he's certain was plundered from his own safe house. He snarls at the look of it. In less than 36 hours, he had gone from perfectly confident and utterly assured in his escape to working under the yoke of an increasingly insane organization, in the chains of madmen who thought they could change the galaxy for the better. Fools. Fools the lot of them. Still, they would punish him if he didn't put in some effort. He removes the communicator and tucks it into his shirt pocket, as well as some credits and a series of 5 burners. Surely that would be more than enough for a simple walk and study of the area, right? He's given away all 5 burners within the first 30 minutes.